Well, hello there. So now it's time to review Luke Cage Season 1. Luke Cage Season 1 is part of the Defender series. This was the series of Marvel heroes that were originally on Netflix. It includes Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, and kind of the Punisher. The Punisher is kind of an offshoot of them. And really, they were on Netflix because they're intended to be more intense shows, more graphic, more violent, a little bit of language in them. And so now they've kind of transferred over and they're on Disney Plus. So I'm rewatching all of those. Previously, I've rewatched Daredevil Season 1, I've rewatched Jessica Jones Season 1, and now it's time to talk about Luke Cage. Now, as you look at this show, this is a tale of two seasons. This is a tale of two halves. I guess that's the better way to put it. There's the first half of Luke Cage to episode, I think, 6 or 7, maybe a little after that the main villain is Mahershala Ali. There's the second half where the main villain is different. The first half of Luke Cage is great. It's a great show. Mike Coulter does a great job as this character. He could be a little more charismatic at times, but I think feeling that kind of grit of like Harlem and that he's the hero on the streets is definitely there. And then Mahershala Ali is a great villain. He's a great kind of nightclub owner, kind of gangster type villain. And so them going back and forth is great. What ends up happening about midway through the season is that Mahershala Ali's character dies. And I know that's a spoiler. I should have said spoiler alert. But I won't tell you how. And so then what you basically find out is that his cousin, Alfred Woodard, and this other character called Diamondback are behind kind of all the things that he's doing. And so they really become kind of the two main villains, with Diamondback really being the main villain that drives the rest of the season. Really, as you look at the kind of the way this is structured, the first half, you have two kind of, it's almost like a gangster movie. Two guys going at it. You have the street level hero, the gangster, going at it, trying to get after each other. And Luke Cage has some really interesting powers that he's bulletproof, he's super strong, so he can go into places and just be him. As you go to the second half of the season, you get this kind of over-the-top weapons dealer called Diamondback, who is very over-the-top in what he does. And you feel like you lost something. You feel like the villain you were so engaged with is not there, and then you have to kind of jump to this other guy really quickly. And I think that's the struggle with this show. I think when you look at Luke Cage, my hope is that they carry Mike Coulter over to the MCU. I don't think that they will. I think that he will actually get recast, because it definitely makes sense to recast Iron Fist. And really, if you look in the comics, these two are actually characters that work a lot with each other. But he's his part of this I really enjoyed, and Mahershala Ali's part I really enjoyed, but really the storyline here kind of fades at the end of the season, because you're really, with the new character, the over-the-top weapons dealer, it really fades, and you really don't understand his motivations. He's super over-the-top, quotes scripture, does all of that, so it's... And then he gets, out of nowhere, he gets an arm suit that makes him as strong as Luke Cage. He gets a suit that he can go with him. And so, of course, there's a fight at the end in the streets. So it's a really interesting character. I do recommend the show because the first half is really good. And the second half, you can kind of, it's not terrible, but it's not great. But what you'll see is that this is a really interesting character that I hope they carry over to the MCU now that they're doing Spider-Man and Daredevil, because like a street level hero, this guy makes a lot of sense with all the things going on in New York.